Reality. There's some of that equipment that's fully autonomous running in the field as we speak. So, I'm Jason Tucker. I mentioned this morning, and by the way, I am not a handheld mic guy, Lane, so this is going to be very interesting. I am a lapel guy because I talk with my hands. So we'll see if this works. But I'm Jason Tucker. I have responsibility for the western half of the United States for John Deere. So think about Mississippi River West. And that includes everything from lawnmowers to, it's green and yellow, from lawnmowers to self-propelled windrowers. And I wasn't silly enough to put a combine in there, combining soybeans. So I know my audience, right? All right. So I just want to say thanks, first of all, to Lane and the Stotz team for having not only the John Deere team here, but me personally here. I get an opportunity to speak to growers on occasion. But not nearly enough, and so hopefully over the next 30 minutes you'll see A, my passion, but B, you'll see kind of where we're going from a strategy perspective, because that's really what I want to share with you is John Deere's strategy, both in the space of sort of holistic, but particularly in precision ag. I am a 25 plus year veteran of John Deere, so I've been around through this entire quote-unquote precision ag journey. I've seen a lot of change, as many of you have, over the course of that 25 years. And I'll unpack that a little bit relative to some of our investments and where we're going. You might pick it up my accent, not sure, but I did grow up in North Carolina. Poor farm kid, tobacco farmer. How many of you ever seen tobacco growing? Ah, man, I usually don't get that in an audience, a couple hundred folks. I like it. Tobacco farmer. So we have a few livestock as well. So been around farming my entire life. Most of my career at John Deere has been in sales and marketing. You'll probably pick that up in the passion and the excitement that I'll share today. I'm not an engineer. I'm not in. It says product development, but that's way more on the marketing side. So looking forward to the next 25 or so minutes here of sharing with you. But I would be remiss if I didn't start the presentation with this right here, and that's a big thank you to every one of you. You know, we at John Deere, and I'll say we at John Deere dealers, like our premier dealer here, Stotz, we don't take it for granted that we have to earn your business every day. And you see across the bottom of that slide 4 words. Tom started this morning with a few core values of Stotz, and you'll probably see some of the same words there. These are the core values of John Deere and have been for a really long time. And I can tell you that about 70,000 John Deere employees wake up every day thinking about those 4 things, because those 4 things are what our commitment is to deliver to you. And we're going to continue to do that because, again, we don't take it for granted that we've got to earn your business every day. So thank you. Thank you for being here, and thank you for what you do every day, and thank you for being John Deere customers. Why do we wake up every day doing what we do? Why are we in agriculture so excited? Why do we believe that our business, our industry is as exciting as it is? It's because we got the weight of the world on our shoulders, literally. Right? This is why we do what we do. We got to feed this world, right? Some people say 10 billion. What's the number today? 7.8, 7.9 billion people, 7 mouths to feed. Some people say 10 billion. Some people say 9. It doesn't matter. It's a lot more than it is today. And so our challenge is, how do we feed those folks? How do we feed more that, oh yeah, by the way, are eating more proteins, right? They're not just eating rice, for example. They're actually going to protein diets, which takes more grain, which takes more that we've got to grow, that you've got to grow in order to feed that world. And oh yeah, by the way, we got to do that with less land, right? Because of urbanization and land going out of production. Oh yeah, by the way, we got to do that with believe in climate change or not, it doesn't matter. When you pour a lot of concrete, it's going to impact the weather, right? So we got to do it with shorter harvesting windows, shorter planting windows, a lot of things going on around us. And oh yeah, by the way, we got to do it with a lot less people in agriculture. So when you think about all that, who's ready for the challenge? Everybody in here, I guarantee you are. I'm ready for the challenge. We're ready for the challenge. So when you think about that in the backdrop of what our opportunity is, we've got a golden opportunity. So how do we, John Deere, begin to craft? What does that mean for us? What it means for us is we've got a vision. And that vision starts with you, starts with our customers. We want John Deere customers to be the most profitable, the most productive, and the most sustainable, full stop. And again, I said we got 70,000 people waking up every day. How do we do that? This is how we do it. A few years ago, we put together a smart industrial operating strategy. Now, we've been investing in technology. I'm going to unpack that here in a little bit. We've been building quality equipment. We've been doing all those things for years. But I would argue we really haven't been doing it in a coordinated fashion that's going to cause us to be as fast to the market to support you as we can be going forward. And that's why in 2020, we reorganized our entire company around a smart industrial operating model. And here's really the three pillars of it. The first is production systems. All of you work in production systems, right? You have steps that you do to grow a crop, or steps that you do to develop an outcome of what you do. And you just heard our golf course friends talk about this earlier, right? They have steps that they go through to grow grass, right? You have steps you go through to grow crops. So we organized our company around production systems, and not just corn and beans, by the way. We organized around multiple production systems. I'll unpack that here in just a moment. But to me, equally as important is this thing we call life cycle solutions. And you just heard from Ryan Blaine a little earlier on SharePoint, and I'll talk about that again here in just a moment. But really, life cycle solutions is about how do we enable our dealers to support you? How do we enable you as a grower to have the latest, greatest technology that you can possibly have on your machine over the life cycle of the machine? In other words, not just have to buy new equipment to get the latest and greatest technology. Performance upgrades, and we're going to unpack that just a little bit. Not on this slide. All right, and then thirdly, and I did it in this order because this is the glue that holds it all together. Technology stack. And for those of you familiar with the technology world, the technology stack means a lot of things to a lot of people. But here's what it means to us at John Deere. Organizationally, it means that instead of having our windrower platform or our engineering group develop something all by themselves, or having our intelligent solutions group develop something all by themselves like software, and then having the combine group develop something over here, it's one organization that is thinking through what the hardware is, the software, the embedded technologies, the off-board technologies, aka the applications, my operations, right, our operations center, all those things are in one organization now. And that is truly the glue that holds it together. So let's unpack that a little bit. Production systems. Here's our goal around every single production system that we participate in. And again, that's everything from grass, literally golf courses, to alfalfa, to you name it, right? Certainly corn and beans, cotton, small grains, everything in between. It's about unlocking customer economic value. So what we've done is we've created an organization that literally every day they're waking up going, do I fully understand the individual production steps along the way that it takes to grow a crop or to have an outcome? Oh yeah, by the way, this applies to our construction equipment, so to build a road or to build a development, to grade dirt, those kind of things. But do I understand every step along the way? And then, oh yeah, by the way, where's the inefficiencies in those steps? Where's the opportunity to insert technology so that we can create a greater outcome, greater profitability for the grower or the customer who is operating the equipment and or the technology and or the software. Thinking about that every day. And then, oh yeah, by the way, how do we do that very sustainably? Right? Not just in a one-time shot, but over time, how do we keep increasing the opportunity for customers to have the innovative way to A, make more money, and or have more output? How about this life cycle solutions? So if you think about life cycle solutions, as I said, yes, when someone buys a piece of John Deere equipment or a piece of John Deere technology, it doesn't stop, and even John Deere's support doesn't stop from the minute someone writes a check or trades a piece of equipment in and gets a new piece of equipment, right? Certainly our dealers have a huge role in the support, the parts, the service that go along with that piece of equipment, but we at John Deere have a huge role in that too. And what we've created here is the opportunity for us to have proactive, right, support. We've created the opportunity for individuals who own older pieces. We're going to continue to create the opportunity for individuals who own older pieces of equipment to upgrade those pieces of equipment to take advantage of the technology. So you can see it at the very bottom there around performance upgrade. highly encourage you, if you have not, please talk to the John Deere team that's here for performance upgrades, certainly the SurePoint team, but others. We've got a ton of opportunity here, and I can tell you we're just barely scratching the surface. I'll unpack that on the slide here in just a moment as well. And then finally, too far to that. I'm going to talk about this tech stack really quick. I said, you know, in the Silicon Valley world, tech stack means one thing, but here's what it means for us. It means that we're going to figure out where technology makes sense, not technology for technology's sake. And oh yeah, by the way, we're going to have one organization that's responsible for implementing that technology across the multiple platforms. So yeah, a lot of times we'll do things for corn and beans because it's in our backyard, right from Des Moines, Iowa, right, where primarily this organization sits. But the reality is that organization isn't just thinking about a planter and an 8R tractor in corn. They're thinking about it in terms of how can we implement that technology literally on golf courses and everything in between. Right? You can see the word at the top there, and I'll unpack that as well here in just a few minutes. But it all starts with hardware and software. If you don't have the base hardware, a base display, a base modem, right? The things that you can actually have the data and the interaction, if you don't have that, you can't have the rest of it. You can see we go all the way up to autonomy. And I'll unpack our precision ag strategy here in a minute, but you can see as a company, this is the way we're organized and this is the way we're focused. Okay? We believe that because we're focused this way, it's going to enable us, just like that video ended, to leap farming forward. So that's our higher purpose. Our higher purpose is we run, right? Nothing runs like a deer, but we run so that life can leap forward. And we believe that John Deere, and I would even put John Deere dealer after this statement, but John Deere and John Deere dealers, we're uniquely positioned to deliver both the economic, I keep talking about the profitability piece, but the economic and sustainable value that you all deserve as growers and farmers. And we believe we can do that through the advanced technology and solutions. I'll stand up front of you right now and say a red tractor is as good as a green tractor. A yellow tractor is as good as a green tractor. The differentiating factor is going to be A, the John Deere dealer, I promise you, and then B, our technology is going to be the difference. And how we integrate and advance that technology quicker and faster and more efficiently, and oh yeah, by the way, effectively, aka it works, vis-a-vis our competitor. We believe we're uniquely positioned for that. Why in the world would we believe we're uniquely positioned? We've been there since the beginning. Every hinge point of agriculture. Think about, for thousands of years it was about muscle. And Brian, you're right, we don't make plows anymore, but somewhere along 1837, an entrepreneur by the name of John Deere himself invented the self-scouring plow such that the Midwest farmer could actually be more productive. So we were there. We were there. Oh yeah, by the way, in the early 1900s, we weren't first to develop the tractor, that's for sure. But I'd argue we were the first to perfect it, right? In the early 1900s with the Waterloo Boy, we were there when horses became obsolete for agricultural purposes. Fast forward to about the 1940s, 1950s, and it became all about fertilizer, chemicals, herbicides, pesticides, right? We were there. We were there with high technology equipment for the 40s and 50s to deliver those pesticides, herbicides, chemicals, right? Fast forward to the biochemical era, right? The 90s when GMO became, a big deal. Roundup Ready, all those kind of things kind of came out. We were there. We took our precision machines to the next level. We were there for that hinge point. I believe we're not only going to be there for the digital and the artificial intelligence piece, I would argue we're leading it. I would argue John Deere's leading it. And again, I know I mentioned Consumer Electronics Show, but when you think about the years of consumer electronics and the fact that a company like John Deere gets to do the keynote address, the world takes notice that John Deere is doing something a little bit different, right? This whole, and Tom Stotz said this morning, but this whole digital next phase of farming, the precision, it is about the data, right? Here's what we believe at John Deere. We believe that data is the fuel, not the exhaust. Why would I say that? It's not just about the machine being a sensor and spitting out the data. It's about you as a grower, us as John Deere, your dealer, aka Stotz, helping do something with that data to really turn it back into insights for you to farm better, for you to do the jobs you're trying to do better. That's why we call it the fuel, not the exhaust. So that was kind of a high level. Let me go a little bit deeper now into our precision ag strategy. And so if you think about precision ag, it is about, at the end of the day, there's a million definitions for precision ag, but at the end of the day, it's about smarter equipment that enables better decisions. Right? Kind of like I just described on the data. You've got a smarter piece of equipment that's learning every time it gets a piece of data or a piece of information, or you make a decision to do something, it in turn, whatever job you're doing gets more precise. To us, that's precision ag, and our precision ag strategy is really along the lines of 3 pillars, and this is where we're making our investments. First, automation to autonomy. And we say that very deliberately and intentionally. Automation to autonomy. Right? The market wants autonomous stuff that just goes out there and runs by itself. Yeah, we're going to do that. Yeah, we're already doing that. But the reality is, the reason people want autonomous stuff is because they want certain jobs that are either redundant or complex done automatically. That's where the automation piece comes in. And that's where we've spent an enormous amount of resources, an enormous amount of time automating things. Our first one was what? AutoTrack. Could you imagine driving a tractor without AutoTrack now? No way, I wouldn't do it. I don't do it in my hay field, right? I'm not going to drive a tractor without AutoTrack. AutoTrack turn automation. I could spend the whole day going through all the things that we've automated on these pieces of machinery. We're going to keep doing that. But make no mistake, I'll show you a slide here in a minute, we are definitely full speed ahead toward full autonomy as well. All right? How about anywhere management? Anybody farming ground that isn't close to where you live now? Right? Used to farm right out the back door. Farms are large, they're complex. The decisions you have to make every day, the interactions you have to have with all your operators, the interactions you have to have with your machines. My goodness, it just keeps getting more and more complex. We are doubled down on this anywhere, anytime management so that we give you the right information at the right time and enable you to manage your farm, your equipment, your information, when and where you want to manage it. And thirdly, insights to intelligence. It is about the data, but data by itself is absolutely useless. It's what is the data telling me? We are spending an enormous amount of our resources and capital on figuring out how we can more easily serve up that information and that data both to you via your data, your machine, what you want to do, your dealer, but also to make the machines smarter. Right? Remember I said data is the fuel, not the exhaust. Those sensors, that 8R, every time it's going across any field, it's collecting an enormous amount of data. Right? That's your data. If you decide you want to do something with that data back to that machine, every time you do that, you're making that machine smart. That's the strategy here. Okay? All right. I mentioned all this R&D spend. So typically as an industrial, right, what John Deere is, John Deere's a manufacturer. Typically as an industrial, we spend about 4%, or most companies spend about 4% of their revenue in R&D. For the last 30 years, we've been about 5%, north of that. Ever since AutoTrack, 1997-ish, or when we bought Navcom, I should say, for satellite purposes, we spent about $30 billion on R&D. You can do the math, 25 years, about $30 billion this year, we'll spend $2 billion. It is critical for us to build, to do these building blocks over time, right? When you think about the hardware, the software, we've been investing, I'm just going to go to the next slide. We've been investing in this technology that you see today and where it's going in the future for 25 years. A lot of smart people, way smarter than me, were fortuitous enough to think about how this business was going to change. And so we've made significant investments. Here's why I wanted to show this slide, though. Not necessarily the timeline, and it's busy as all get out, so I don't expect you to read it. But you can see some of the circles are green, some of the circles are gray. And then it's kind of a conglomerate of circles up at the top, right? Let me describe the green is essentially John Deere developed. So I mentioned $30 billion, right? We're pouring a lot of, over this time horizon, we're pouring a lot of money into developing some things ourselves. Because we think, right, that embedded into a John Deere piece of machinery, supported and enabled by John Deere as a manufacturing excellence company, that makes a lot of sense. The gray are acquisitions and or joint ventures and or things that we know we can't do. We probably don't have the competency, we don't have the excellence by which to do those things, but other people do, right? And so therefore we partner and we bring that in, and it all builds this system. Again, you can see I've been redundant about the hardware, software, up through the guidance, up through the connectivity, all the way to autonomy. Okay, so these are all building blocks on where you go. I said I'll tell you where we're going on autonomous. And yes, this says row crops. And that's why I said earlier, yeah, we'll develop a lot of things for corn and bean farmers, but the reality is we're developing it in a manner of which it can translate to other pieces and other production systems that you all participate in. We said this at the Consumer Electronics Show. We've been pretty bold about saying this to Wall Street. We will have a fully autonomous farming system for row crops. So today we've got a tractor. We don't even call it a tractor, we call it a tillage solution. We've got an autonomous 8R running till and farm ground in southern Minnesota and northwest Iowa. Right? We've got, make no mistake, we'll have autonomous sprayers, we'll have autonomous planters, and we'll likely have an autonomous combine by 2030. That's the plan. But when you think about how we can learn and grow from there, and whether it's a windrower, whether it's it doesn't matter, golf course equipment, we can scale this stuff when we get the volume. And make some pretty effective opportunities for you. Again, profitability, productive, and sustainability. That's where we're going. It's not about the autonomous tractor per se. That's a little bit complex, so if I said, how does that spread across multiple production systems, what are you really trying to do? If you think about any jobs, any production systems that you participated in, you can manage at the farm level, you can manage at the field level, you can manage at the zone level. This is where we want to get to, manage at the plant level. All right, think about it. So if you were hypothetically, you were a grower and you were able to have one little piece of ground and you grew one plant, what are you going to do with that one plant? You needed to make a livelihood off of that one plant. No matter what kind of plant it is, it's going to be a corn, bean, whatever plant. You're going to water the shit out of it. You're going to fertilize the shit out of it. You're going to take care of that plant like it's nobody's business. Now think about the trillions of plants, and especially if you're growing grass or growing any of that, right? The trillions and trillions over these acres. That's where this thing's going. These machines, this data, this intelligence is going to be able to nurture every plant at the plant level. What does that plant need? How can I have, and you think about uniform emergence, you think about all the things that you can do when you can go to a plant level versus a farm, a field, or a zone level. So that's where this thing's going. It's not necessarily about just machines running out there by themselves. Yes, is autonomy important because of labor issues? Is autonomy important either because of complex jobs or because of redundant type jobs? The answer is yes. But we believe this is really where it all ties together. Okay? Here's the reality though. You got to have a little bit of a different business model if that's the way you're going to go to market. Right? I mentioned life cycle solutions. You can't always afford to have all of that technology on a brand new piece of equipment and then have people buy it. So we got to think about how we have a lower upfront cost. Yes, you just heard a John Deere guy stand in front of it and say, how can we have a lower upfront acquisition cost on the technology? For the last 25 years of that slide that I just showed you, what we would do is we would develop a piece of hardware, a piece of software, something technologically advanced, and we put it on the next iteration of the 8R, the next iteration of the windrower, the next iteration of the combine. We can't do that going forward. What we've got to do is we've got to enable the solutions across the equipment, regardless of whether it's new or not. Again, performance upgrades, but how do we do that? And then, because you think about the technology risk, it's only going to be on the new stuff. The reality is we need all pieces of equipment to perform at a higher level, right? So, do we have all that solved? The answer is no, but this is where we're going. Oh yeah, by the way, this is where you get to hold us accountable. So if we have a lower upfront cost because you're able to buy something that's technology ready, but you might not use it, which I'll talk about here in a minute, or you're able to take an existing piece of equipment and performance upgrade it, You get to hold us accountable because the only way this works is it gets better over time. Does your iPhone get better over time? Or your Android phone get better over time? Besides the battery, which dies. The answer is yeah, right? You get software pushed to you all the time. Does the Operations Center, we were just talking about this earlier at lunch, does the Operations Center get better over time? The answer is yeah. That's what we have to embed in all this technology that we're talking about going forward, is that it has to get better over time. The recurring value to you has to be there. So you get to hold us accountable, and oh yeah, by the way, you only pay for what you use. All right, so what happens when we put all that technology in a new 8R and you use 10% of it? It doesn't feel all that good, right? Because the value, the recurring value is not there for you. So you'll see us, and Stotz will lead the way, I can almost guarantee it, in terms of how we evolve to this new business model of recurring value for you as a grower when we come with all of these new technologically advanced solutions. So my question for you right here as I end is, are you ready? Are you ready for all this? You know, there's a saying that says, technology has never been as fast as it is today, and it'll never be this slow again. And that's absolutely correct. All right, so my question is, are you ready? You can see the sun coming up. The sun's definitely going to come up. There's a couple, 3 roads you can take there. The question is, are you ready? And I think the benefit to this group of customers sitting out here is you've got a phenomenal dealer that's ready to take you there. A fantastic dealer that's ready to partner with you. My question is, are you ready? So think about these 3 questions here as at the end of my presentation. Number 1, how up to date is your equipment in terms of connectivity? Connectivity is the baseline for all of this. And I've heard several of you make comments today in some of the breakouts and all about, and certainly the customer panel that was up here about being connected and the machines, machine-to-machine communication, all the things that are required for proactive as well as reactive support, but having connected machines is the absolute baseline for all this. So how you doing there? Are you doing everything possible to ensure your fleet has the latest technology? Right? I talked about performance upgrade kits. Brian stood up here and talked about a few things from SurePoint coming around the corner. Do you have all that kind of new technology that, oh yeah, by the way, doesn't necessarily require you to go out and buy a new piece of equipment, but yet enables your current equipment to be even that more productive? And thirdly, are you working with Stotz to optimize your fleet for technology and data gathering? Love this morning's conversation from Tom around showing some examples about how Stotz is leading the way relative to data gathering and then turning that data into insights for you. Make sure you're taking advantage of that. You are, I'm telling you, you're blessed to be in an organization. We've got fantastic dealers. This is one of the best right here. So how do you prepare? I won't go through these in ad nauseum other than to say certainly John Deere Operations Center, which is free, and certainly which you own all of your data. Leverage the heck out of that. I can guarantee you we're going to keep making Operations Center more valuable for you. Every about 6 weeks, you're going to get a release and it's going to be even more valuable. I talked about the connectivity, make sure that's there, and then take advantage of the automation 4.0 capabilities, right? The auto-track turn automation, implement guidance, all the things that go along with that. I heard even the golf course folks, right, talked about high fidelity boundaries, like how important it is to have these fields mapped and boundaries. We certainly don't want an autonomous tractor running away from any of these boundaries. No, that's not why you actually need, these high fidelity boundaries. But that's how you can take advantage of some of the technology. My guess is you already have in your computer today. And then certainly the data piece. So I'm done. I'm going to stop where I started, and that's a thank you. Thank you to all of you for listening to me blab for 30 minutes, first of all. But more importantly, thank you for the business that you've certainly given John Deere and Stotz over the years here. And again, we don't take it for granted that we've got to sharpen our pencil and earn your business every day. So with that, Lane's going to switch out computers here, and I probably don't have any time for questions.
You're good.
Okay, I was going to say I'm not going anywhere, so I'll be around.
The slide was flexible solutions, so we're flexible. Let's go.
So any quick question I could answer or anything while I'm up here. And again, I will be around. I'm not going anywhere. So good. I was going to deflect them anyway. No.
Turn automation on pivot headlamps.
When am I going to have auto turn automation on pivot lamps? I don't know when, but you will.
Well, that's a very good answer.
So we were talking before lunch, and that's why I put it in my presentation. As we develop things in the good old Midwest, they tend to make their way this way, over time. So, yeah, it's I don't have an answer of time. 2 years, same answer.
I said a year ago.
We'll get there. We'll get there. All right, Lane, maybe we'll go ahead.
Other questions?
Again, I'm around, so
Yeah.
anytime.